What's going on YouTube? Thanks for tuning into the channel. Welcome to Oh So Simplified, where I simplify life for you, because life should be simple, but simple don't mean easy. So let's just jump into this. Why working out for purely aesthetics, if you're a dumb, aesthetics means looks, purely for aesthetics is weird. Like, I don't know how else to really explain it. It's just weird, bro, and I'm definitely picking a fight with a big part of the fitness community because I think it's just purely weird. So let's just jump into the first one. Working out for aesthetics and looks is not sustainable. So mostly my channel I feel like will resonate with men. However, this can be applied both ways, and I'll sprinkle it in on both sides, men and women. But first off, let's just start with bodybuilders, because if you're a guy and you're looking to get in shape, get into like a regimen of working out, bodybuilders are the first thing that's going to be kind of advertised to you and promoted as an idol or something that you should aspire to follow. And the biggest thing about bodybuilding is that it's not healthy. Bodybuilders die all the time. Rich Piana, I know, was like big when I first started to kind of get into like the YouTube fitness world. Rich Piana, I know there's always like a new young guy that died. A lot of them died because of steroids, because they're like pushing their bodies to these crazy limits. And also too, people like Cali Muscle, who was huge, who now has shrunk a lot. And most of it was because he was having a lot of, like organ failure, heart failure, things like that. Now, a lot of this is due to steroids, but I think also a lot of it is due to mass. If you think about when you see old people, how many big 250 plus old people do you see? Whether it's fat or muscle, like your body is just really not made to carry that much muscle. It's not functional. It doesn't make sense. There's other points I'll get into, but that's the first one that like, it's just not healthy. And a lot of people get into this to improve their health. And it's not a healthy goal. Now, if you're trying to get on stage, which I'll get into later, that's kind of a different thing. I still think it's a little bit weird, but you're competing, so you're kind of striving towards something. If you're an everyday person trying to be a bodybuilder, it doesn't really make sense. So that's the first point on the first. And the second point within this first thing, the second thing is that if you look at the science when it comes to working out, because most people do work out first and foremost, at least when they get started, it's like an attraction thing. Like a lot of people are into, whether you're a guy or a girl, trying to get fit for the other sex. Scientifically, I've taken a lot of communications and anthropology. It was probably more anthropology where this study comes up. Anthropology classes where they did cross-cultural studies. And then on TikTok and YouTube, I've seen mostly America and England, but I've seen the same kind of study played for men. But basically where they've taken they took different body types and showed them to different cultures. And basically what different cultures showed was that the body types you see in magazines are not the body types that are actually preferred by men when it comes to women. So a lot of the BBLs, the lip injections, the anorexia, all of these things and body dysmorphia that a lot of women get are basically trying to fulfill something that who they're trying to impress doesn't even find most appealing. What most people find appealing is a fit body that's like somewhat average. So somebody that's like 10 to 15 body fat percentage if you're a man, not these overly big dudes. You listen to a lot of big dudes that talk. The people that are going to notice that you're, really big instead of just like muscular and fit are actually going to be men and not women. Because women, it's just, as long as you look fit, you're good. The same way with a guy. As long as you look like you're not a bag of sloppy yogurt, you're good. So even for the main reason, which once I'll get into later, that I don't think trying to just look good and that being your main motivation for working out, I still think that's a weak motivation. But even if that is your main driver, to get to what you see on Instagram and everything like that is not even, one, it's not healthy, and then two, it's not even the most desired look. And the last one on this one is really something I already kind of started to get into. I think that when you work out specifically for looks, it's hard to keep going because at a certain point you're going to hit a plateau. If you look at somebody like me, I'm pretty, I'm muscular. I probably look a little skinny in the camera, but I'm about 5'9" right now, weigh 168. I can get up to 180, 185, but my face is fat. I feel fat when I'm at that size. I feel slower. Most of when I work out, it's like I don't really work out for these things. That's why I'm making this video. Like, I do a lot of jujitsu. I did yoga yesterday. I like to do jump rope. And I do like to lift and do stuff, but I like to do functional movements, get myself moving. But I don't really have a desire to get super, super big because my ability to do some of those movements decreases as I gain weight because my body is just not made to carry that size, as well as I feel like I have more inflammation and things like that. And a lot of the heavy lifts, honestly, once again, they kind of hurt you after time, whereas you can do things that are more sustainable, that keeps you going. But if I was just working out purely for aesthetics, all I would be consumed with, especially in the light of how I'm making this video, is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's like, what I'm gonna eat 4,000 calories a day and just like ruin my gut and just so I can gain some weight, just for who? For people that for strangers I don't even know. I mean, I don't really post on Instagram like that, so it's not gonna be for likes, but it's like people that are not even gonna appreciate what you're doing. And what are you doing it for? I just think it's a bad goal, and I think that when you work out for looks, it really puts you down this rabbit hole that can get you into this body dysmorphia, where if you're like a woman, you're like getting implants and plastic surgery and all this other stuff, and nothing's ever enough. And then if you're a guy, you're taking all these steroids and doing all this stuff and wrecking your whole body for something that really is a weak goal. So the second main point on this is that, and this is gonna hurt some feelings, I just personally think it's weird, bro. I think it's weird when I see dudes, like I see these videos of people like flexing together, talking about people's chest, like, bro, like, yo, your chest, look at the definition, look at the striation in your shoulders, look at your glute, oh, I want to get quads like him. Like, I think that's just weird that you're like walking around like looking at other dudes trying to like assess their body. Like, and I'm not any of these phobes or anything, I don't want to say the word because I don't know how the whole algorithm works, but I just think it's kind of a weird way for like just being honest, like a heterosexual male to be staring at another dude, just analyzing his body, and you don't even compete. Like, if you compete, it's one thing. I still think it's weird in a weird sport, but, and I don't even know if you call it a sport exactly, but I think it's weird even if you get on stage. But if you don't get on stage and you stare at other dudes and you really like assess their body parts and then fantasize about you putting those getting those body parts on yourself, your priorities are a little out of whack, my G. You need to kind of, get some things straight and figure it out, because working out is not supposed to be about what other men look like. I just need to throw that out there because I feel like that's the way things are going. People just keep staring at these dudes and saying like, oh my God, and getting enamored. And it's like, bro, like, you're really looking at another man's body and getting worked up. And then it kind of goes back to where I'm talking about like these heavy lifts. So that's really the only thing I can see in this bodybuilding community that has any resonance with me, is that like, I guess you can work towards like lifting more and more and more and more and more. Now, one, I think that causes a lot of wear and tear on your joints. I don't know how functional it is. Like, how often are you ever laying flat on your back with your elbows behind your back, pushing up a weight that's like perfectly spread across your hands? Like, I don't know how often you do that. I don't know how often there's just a bar. And I love squats. And I like bench pressing. Like a bar just hanging on your back, like you're just doing that all day. I couldn't do that every day. And also, it's like, great, you can push 600 pounds when you're laying on your back with your elbows behind your back, straight off your chest. Great. But can you wipe your ass? That's the real question. Like, can you wipe your ass? Like, is your body so unpliable, inflexible that you can't touch your elbows together, you can't touch your shoulders, you can't do things like this? Like to me, that's what's important. Could you jump a fence if you had to? Could you get away from somebody? If somebody attacked you and the fight lasted more than 30 seconds, Would you have a heart attack or not? Like, those are the things to me that are actually important. Actually, what your body was built to do. Your body wasn't built to just lay flat on its back, pushing weight up, or connecting weird contraptions to your legs just to get your butt bigger. If you're a woman, like, I just don't think that's like what you were made to do. And then when you're eating and trying to fill yourself, I mean, this is a whole digression from any of the points I had already coming up with. But it's like, yo, your farts must smell terrible, because it's like, yo, you're just putting all this stuff into your body that your body was never meant to do. And when you do all these things on sleep and things like that, and it's like, your body's not supposed to be digesting food all the time. Like being this huge thing is just not, it's not it. And it's weird, bro. And it's very weird when I see people staring at other dudes, like fantasizing about how their body part could be if they had it on themselves. And the last thing here is really going to be about what I think working out should be about. It should be about, one, mental health, and then two, physical health. And when I say that, one and two is really one. Now, if you're watching this, you know, I'm all about the simplified lifestyle, and I simplified things. Like, and I think when you try to say mind and body, you are complicating it, because your mind and your body are integral. I don't know how I could have a mind without a body, and I don't know how I could have a body without a mind unless I was dead. You know what I mean? So they're integral. But what I will say is that, you know, what you should do is try to get a practice of something you can sustain. And also work towards making your body as functional as it can be, as good as it can be. So I think, you know, cardiovascular is important. I think sweating, very important. I think a lot of people miss that out, that your body needs to sweat. Like, you can't just do these slow lifts. Because I remember I had a boss, and he was like a college baseball player, but he was talking about how he has like all these health problems, jack dude. And it was because he didn't sweat, because like he would explain how he would work out, and it was just basically just lifting heavy. But like, if you don't do it quickly, you know, it's easy not to sweat. For me, it's a little hard because I wrestled, so like my body, once I start sweating, I start profusely sweating. It's very efficient in cooling myself down in that way. But I think sweating is very important. I think, one, working out outside. I don't think that all of your workout should just be in a fluorescent gym. You should go to the park. Almost every park has freaking a pull-up bar, a dip bar, or a push-up type bar. Like, so you can basically you can do your pulls, you could do your pushes, and then you can run and do your legs or do some body weight squats. But getting the sun on your body, I think that if people more try to incorporate that process, and then also getting around people and doing an actual activity. Like I told you, I do a lot of MMA, jiu-jitsu, and then I just restarted doing yoga again. And being around people in that type of setting where, like, you know, you're working on poses, trying to get the poses right, like that's almost like an infinite game. Like, when does it end? The same thing with your techniques in MMA. Like, you can always improve your techniques. There's always holes in your game. There's always things to correct. So it's something that you can strive towards without ruining yourself. Whereas like, if all it is about getting bigger arms, bigger legs, bigger chest, like, at some point there's only so big you can get. It's the same thing we say in MMA, or maybe just my coach says it, but it's like, what is the better return on investment? Getting stronger, where a lot of people that do MMA, I need to get strong so I could squeeze when I do my chokes, or I could, you know, punch and knock somebody out. Or getting your technique better. Your technique can improve probably 1,000x, 100x if I give like a real number. Your strength, you know, at my size, 5'9", you know, 170 pounds, like, I might not ever be able to lift 400 pounds off my chest. You know what I mean? Like, it just might never ever happen. I might never be 250 pounds, or there might be a certain weight I get to that at this point I can't make my shoulders bigger, I can't make my chest bigger. And if that was my whole goal and what I was doing, it's gonna lead me to a place where I'm, lack of a better term, hurting, or just looking for something else. And you listen to these people, and I can name some of them that have talked about it. When I can get my StreamYard and figure out how all this stuff works, I'll start incorporating those videos in these videos. But people like, I know Bradley Martin was talking about when he was in his early 20s having ED, because he was staying too lean. Which I also think is weird. It's like, what, are you going to get to 5% for 2 weeks? Like, for what? Like, I cut weight to fight somebody. You know what I mean? Like, that makes sense. Otherwise, I ain't cutting weight. Like, I'm not checking my body fat. But Tristan Lee, for 2 years, this dude looked like he was dying. Dying lifting weights, and he talks about he was getting weaker, he was getting tired, things aren't working because, like, these goals are made up by Instagram. Like, if there wasn't an Instagram or YouTube, a lot of people wouldn't be doing these things because there's no real health benefit. Like, it's only benefit that other people are staring at you. And then once again, why I think it's weird, and I'm gonna end it on this, is that the people that are staring at you are dudes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the only person that cares is Greg Doucette, and maybe he cares for a different reason. I ain't trying to say all that, but that's it for this one. Like, comment, subscribe if you like the content. Leave some negative comments if you didn't like it, but yeah, that's just kind of my take on it. I'm really not into this aesthetics only working out type of thing where, yeah, you want to look good, work out and look good, but that should not be your main goal. It should be about the health and wellness of yourself and getting the movement to use your body the way it was intended, because our bodies were not made to sit around all the time, just like they weren't made to lay around and just lift things up and down. You need to move, you need to get the sun, get some fresh air, get around some people, and find an infinite game. Find something that you can stick to forever. So as I mentioned, that's it for this one, and until the next one, you know what it is. Peace.